and I'm walking around a ticking time bomb. I mean, this is like unconscionable. Like, I mean, I couldn't believe it.
Peter, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, first of all, thank you very much, Dave, for having me on your program. I'm a huge fan. Been here for about a year watching you. Love what you do, and I go on a 5 mile walk every morning, and I have you in my headphones, and I basically watch pretty much every single interview, and it just keeps me really motivated. So thank you so much for what you do. It's just incredible. I've learned a ton from those interviews. So I wanted to start out by saying that. Um, Gosh, long story. I think I'm just going to go back to the beginning. I'm 62 and a half years old, Dave, and I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I was a child of really the 70s, I would say. And, growing up, there were no fat kids. There really weren't. There might have been one or two. And I wouldn't even say they were fat by today's standards. They were chubby, maybe. But there was no like severely obese kids with diabetes and everything you see today with fatty liver. That didn't exist back then. Um, and I was pretty thin. I was a skinny kid, and I never had weight problems. I was active in sports and, very active, rode a bike around the neighborhood. But I do remember going, to the store and getting candy and stuff. And that was the beginning of my sweet tooth, you know, uh, candies, cookies, chocolate, all those things are my net bread and muffins and Pop Tarts are my kryptonite. I was never a vegetable guy. I would tell you a funny story. When I was a kid, I would be the last kid at the table. There were three kids. The other kids would eat their food, whatever, and they'd leave. And it would end up being my dad would be gone. It would be just me and my mom, and it would be like a hostage negotiation for the vegetables. Like, so she'd be like, okay, look, I need you to eat those vegetables. I'm like, I don't want to eat those vegetables. I hate them. I love the meat. I love the meat. I loved eggs in the morning. I was the egg man, bacon, whatever. Meat was great. But we'd sit there arguing. She'd be like, okay, eat 10 more peas. I said, I'll eat one. And then she'd say, oh, well, okay, eat 8 more peas. I said, I'll eat two. And anyway, it was just like, but there was a potted plant behind me and a big old milk cistern thing. And when she wasn't looking, I'd put them in there and I'd cover them over in dirt. I'd be, okay, I'm done. So, I mean, I just would not eat the vegetables. So all my life, I guess I knew I was a carnivore and, because I've always loved meat. So, as I got married and got married at 29 years old and, I have two kids and they're now 30 and 27, Michael and Katie, great kids. But I never really was heavy, but as I started getting older, I would say in my 30s, 40s, I started gaining weight. And I'm 6'3", Dave, and I probably would carry 245, 250. I wasn't super fat, but I was not thin. I started gaining weight. And, I'd be maybe a size 38 pants and 40, somewhere in there, and that pretty consistently. And I really didn't have many health problems, I guess, But as I got into my 50s and then my late 50s, I started ballooning up closer to 300. And then the health problems started. Pre-diabetes, high blood pressure. I went on up to now, I guess by the end, 2 or 3 medicines for high blood pressure. Pre-diabetes, and I kind of ignored it, Dave. I was like, it's, I didn't know what it was or anything. And I thought, well, I'm not diabetic, so I'm not going to worry about it. But I had terrible pain in my knees that developed, like arthritis in my knees and my back. So bad, it got so bad, Dave, that it felt like bone on bone. I thought I needed two metal knees, and I could barely walk. And I'm a sales guy, and I sell furniture and for Macy's, big company. And I'm on my feet all day. So I'd come home and I'd just be like, and I would be taking the ibuprofen, 2 or 3 of those every few hours. And there was that cream Voltaren that I was putting on my knees 4 times a day. And maybe it helped 10% better, all that stuff, but didn't really do much. But I had just so much stuff. And I had acid reflux. So I was taking omeprazole for that, And I took that for years, Dave, up until I started Carnivore, and it didn't do anything. and it was just horrible. My sleep was terrible. I had snoring and sleep apnea. Just really bad. Every time I would eat, I would get IBS, like terrible gurgling and just pain. I would go alternately loose and hard stools, and just terrible indigestion. So I really suffered. But one of the worst things that I developed was terrible bipolar depression, anxiety, and ADHD. I struggled with ADHD my whole life, unmedicated, by the way, for most of my life. But I ended up getting a divorce after 21 years of marriage, and that really threw me into a terrible depression. This was 12 years ago in 2012. But I ballooned up to 300 pounds, Dave. This is the most I've ever been. I was a size 42 pants, almost 44, and a BMI of like 40, really high, and just really in bad shape. And the depression got so bad, I was taking all different things and nothing was really working. Anxiety was off the charts. So I was the poster child for starting Carnivore, I guess. But what ended up happening was, this is now, I'm going to go back to 2022, the summer of 2022. I went in for a doctor, an annual physical. I actually wasn't an annual physical. I have hypothyroidism, so I take levothyroxine, very mild. I've had it since my early 20s or 20s, no big deal. They go in every so often for a routine blood test for the hypothyroidism. Well, they took that and adjusted the medicine, I guess. They didn't really say much to me. So until this was August of 2022, until it was the end of January 2023, I went in for an annual physical. It was just a routine annual physical. And the nurse is, you're in there and she's taking your blood pressure and all these different things. Of course, my blood pressure was still very high, even with the medicine. I can't remember exactly, but 165 over 120, something insanely high. And that's with the medicine, Dave. And she's asking me different questions. And she said to me, blah, blah, blah. What do you take for this? What do you take? Are you still taking levothyroxine? Are you still taking this medicine for your depression and anxiety and ADHD? I'm like, yeah. She says, then what are you taking for your diabetes? I said, I don't have diabetes. She said, oh, yes, you do. You have diabetes. It says it right here on your chart. I said, really? Since when? And she said, oh, well, back in August, you had a blood test and your A1C was like 8 something. And they didn't tell me, Dave. So here I am stuffing my face for half a year with sugar and everything else, and I'm walking around a ticking time bomb. I mean, this is like unconscionable. Like, I couldn't believe it. Now, I just want to go back in time for a minute. My father-in-law, God bless his soul, he passed on I guess in his mid 70s from diabetes, complications from terrible type 2 diabetes, double amputee, 5 of 10 fingers amputated, 7 years on dialysis, the kidneys failed, almost gone blind, wheelchair, and crumpled over in 24/7 pain. And I watched this guy who I love, my father-in-law, just slowly die from this thing. One of the worst deaths you could possibly have is, this end stage type 2 diabetes if you don't take care of it properly. So that's what flashed through my mind. I'm sitting there at the doctor, and all I thought was, oh my God, Dick Dowsimer, my father-in-law. That's going to be me. So I said, well, wait a minute. They wanted to start me on metformin or whatever. I said, whoa. Before we even do all that, I'm going to somehow figure this thing out with diet and exercise. I didn't even know what I was going to do. But I said, give me some time. I don't remember how much I asked for, but give me some time. So I went home that day and I went to YouTube and I just put in reverse diabetes. And guess what popped up? Dr. Berry. He has a video called Reverse Diabetes. It's been seen 100 million times. And I'm watching this. And he said, basically talking about, I think pretty much keto at the time, Dave, is what it was. But proper human diet. You can see my shirt, Dr. Berry, proper human diet. And I'm just watching this. I'm going, no, this can't be that I could literally just change the way I eat and I can reverse diabetes. And then he was talking about depression, and acid reflux, all these different things that I had, and high blood pressure. And I'm like, that's I've got all those things. And so I got off the watching it. I went to the comments, and there were hundreds and hundreds. I went down the rabbit hole of comments, and everyone's saying, you saved my life. I reversed diabetes. I have no more high blood pressure. My depression's gone. My anxiety's gone. My acid reflux is gone. My arthritis is gone, which I had. So I pretty much started right away, and I went keto, and I started dirty keto, the treats that, I didn't really do it really well. And then I kind of cleaned up the keto after about a week or two. By week 3, Dave, the pain in my knees was gone. I mean, gone. Nothing. I could walk around, I had clicking in the joints and stuff, and just everything gone. It was like, remember the Tin Man and the Wizard of Oz? And they gave him a little, and everything was fine, and he's dancing. That was me. I had all kinds of energy. I had terrible fatigue. I forgot to tell you that. Well, I'm like super, like Energizer Bunny. So the energy was amazing. The pain in my knees was gone. The fog, the brain fog just like lifted. And all of a sudden, that kind of anxiety and sense of doom from the anxiety seemed to lift. And I felt happier. I can't tell you the last time. It had been over 10 years that I like really even smiled. I mean, I would force a smile, but like I was walking around smiling and I'm happy. I mean, it's like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? So I guess right about that same time, right at about that 3-week, 4-week mark, I just dropped the vegetables, Dave, pretty much. And I just went, Dr. Berry was talking carnivore, and I started going down to Anthony Chafee, Dr. Sean Baker. I eventually found Carrie of Homestead How, and I just found a whole bunch, Dr. Lisa Wiedemann, Kelly Hogan, Bella Steak and Butter Gal, all the different people that we all know and love. And I just, I was just going deep into this. And the more I was on that carnivore diet, the improvement just became better in every respect. That's when the depression once I went carnivore, that's when the depression started to really lift a lot. Also, that high blood pressure that I had, Dave, was very resistant, even to the carnivore. It took, I would say, 6 months to a year to get my blood pressure down. It took time. And the depression, I worked with my psychiatrist. He did not want to, get me off of these. He fought me tooth and nail. And I was like, look, I'm weaning myself off of this. And I tried to tell him about, that he didn't, whatever. But he said he would help me. And I guess after maybe it was a year, I was off it all. I was on 3 different things for depression, anxiety. And I also got off my ADHD medicine as well. And, I had trouble focusing, concentrating. I have super concentration now. My listening skills used to be terrible. I would talk over people, and all of that went away. And I'm just like, oh, I can just listen. Okay, you're talking. I'm going to listen to you. And then I'm going to talk and I go, oh, that's interesting. Like a normal person. And I didn't have that before. So this was, like I said, it was February 1st of 2023 is when I started. So I just hit my 23rd month anniversary, January 1st, 2 days ago. And I just I started at 300 pounds. And I was, like I said, almost a size 44, 42, almost into a 44 pants. Well, I'm now down to 199 pounds, which I haven't been under 200 pounds since I was 19 years old. And I'm a size 34 pants, and they're kind of loose. Now, I haven't been a size 34 pants since I was in high school. And I'm 62. I'm going to be 63 in June, Dave. So, I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, I take no medicine anymore. I'm off. I used to take a handful of medicine. I don't take the ibuprofen. anymore for my knees. I don't take that Voltaren. I have a case of that stuff sitting in my medicine cabinet that I haven't touched in 2 years. Um, just incredible. The other thing, I could go on and on, Dave. I had an interview with Carrie, and I had a list of 25 things that I cured, and I didn't bring the list with me. But um, I will tell you, my hair's better, my skin's better. The gray in my hair almost went away. I mean, you can see I have very little gray, and I'm going to be 63. Um, Skin is softer and better. Um, my oral health, we talked about that. I used to have like bleeding gums, sensitive teeth, uh, gone. I mean, I used to brush my teeth and it would be like, blood coming out, like red coming out. It's gone. That went away a few months, I would say 3, 4 months. That was gone. My teeth are strong now. They don't feel like kind of wop, like a little, they're more stable. Um, I used to also have this weird thing with my tongue. And I know there's a condition. It's like where the tongue gets cracks in it, where it, very sensitive, and you can almost see all the taste buds and that layer of like mucus or whatever kind of it's almost like you burn your tongue. Well, that hasn't happened in a long time. And that was something that when I would have acidic foods like tropical fruits, anything that's acidic, lemons, limes, oranges, it would really exacerbate that. Well, because I guess I'm not having any of those things anymore. Um, that's completely incredibly gone. My vision's improved. This is crazy. So I just went in for an exam, an eye exam, and I used to wear glasses for nearsightedness, and also, having trouble reading things, because I'm older, but um, nearsighted, so seeing far away, especially at night when I'm driving, seeing the street signs was difficult. So, and it wasn't super bad, but it was bad enough really need to wear glasses when I would drive. Dave, I haven't worn my glasses it's been like 2 years. So I went in and I said, there's got to be something here. I'm going to get an eye exam. I have the insurance, so I might as well go in. Well, I went in there and both eyes improved 2 full diopters per eye. And I said to the doctor, I said, have you ever seen anything like that? Somebody my age? And she said, I've been doing this for 25 years. I've never seen this type of improvement in someone your age. Usually it gets worse, progressively worse. And I said, well, do I still need glasses? And she said, well, can you see when you drive at night? I said, yeah, kind of. And she said, well, I'm going to change your prescription. And she gave me new lenses for my glasses. Dave, I haven't worn them once. I mean, I just don't feel like I need them. My vision for reading, like close up, is also to the point where I don't even wear my, uh, magnifiers anymore, really. So, I mean, I guess I could go on, but I guess I'm the poster child for why you want to do carnivore. The diabetes, high blood, I had fatty liver disease as well. And that resolved itself in about 3 months. My A1C, which was over 8, is now 5.2. And it's been like that for over a year. My
This is
blood pressure,
amazing.
yeah, my blood pressure, Dave's like 120/80 with no medicine. Yeah.
Um, and so what do people around you think? I mean, this is 2 years. You've gone from over 300 pounds to under 200.
Well, I'll give you a funny story. Yeah, I mean, well, obviously everyone around me is like, they couldn't understand. They're like, how did you do that? And I'm like, well, I just eat meat and eggs. Like, well, what do you mean? You're gonna die. You're gonna get a heart attack. That's terrible. You're gonna get cancer. You're gonna die. I'm like, no, actually, I've actually reversed, and I go through the list of all the stuff I've improved. And I said, well, you know what? I feel good. And this is the way I'm eating now. And there's a lot of people out there that are doing what I'm doing, and they're getting similar results. So, and curiously, a lot of the people that are asking me about this, who are saying I'm going to die, are themselves obese, sick, eating the stuff. And it's funny. My mom, she's 84 years old, and she's very old school. Oh, you have to have the fruits and vegetables. You have to eat fruits and vegetables. I mean, you have to. I'm like, no, I don't have to. I said, Mom, there's nothing in a fruit or a vegetable that's not in meat. there's all the fruit, vegetables, minerals you need in meat and eggs and butter, whatever, seafood. I eat seafood. I love all kinds of seafood. I said, but there's nothing in that I need. And I don't like those things. I mean, I do like fruit, but I just don't have it really. So, but what's interesting, Dave, is the day after I showed my mom my interview with Carrie, out of the blue, my mom, who was totally against this whole thing, she comes to me and she goes, Peter, I want to do your diet. I said, really? She said, yeah, I want to do that. And she's been doing kind of keto-vor, maybe meat-heavy keto-vor for the past month. And she's lost 10 pounds. She has two metal knees. And she said, oh, the pain in her knees is almost gone. She's walking better. She says she has tons more energy. She's sleeping better. But she's not the only one who I've been able to turn around. My brother and sister are physicians. They're both maybe a little overweight, my brother and sister, but they're both, I know my brother's on Ozempic. My mom is also diabetic and on Ozempic. I'm trying to get her off of it, but they won't listen to me. They're doctors, my brother and sister, but they do see the improvement and they're proud of the improvement I've made, but I don't know that they're completely on board. I haven't really told them I'm full carnivore, my brother and sister. I just told them I'm doing, whole foods, diet, and I eat a lot of meat and eggs, but I don't eat any processed food anymore and seed oils. And I guess they're kind of okay with that, but they themselves don't. I guess they haven't shown enough interest to want to go down that road yet. Yeah,
Right.
and people at work, they think I'm crazy. They just think I'm absolutely crazy. I mean, they see that I'm thin and everything, but they think I'm going to die of a heart attack, and they think I'm nuts. And they keep eating their cookies, candies, pizza, all the stuff from the fast food restaurants that they go out at lunchtime and all the takeaway,
Right. You're the one that's going to die of a heart attack
Yeah, I'm the
as I'm
guy that brings,
shoveling pizza down my neck.
yeah, I'm the guy that brings like 2 hard-boiled eggs in, bring my own food in, some ground beef or a steak, leftover steak or whatever I bring in, it's meat, eggs, whatever. And they're like, that's what you're going to eat? I'm like, yeah, that's what I eat.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the results. I mean, this is a big list. And
It is. And there's
the
more. There's
thing
a lot
is,
more,
though,
Dave. I think of them.
it's crazy. The thing is, though, it's I think you're basically 2 years in,
Yeah.
and doesn't it get to a point where you kind of sit back and you think, before, like everyone else, you're shoveling the garbage into your mouth, you're shoveling all the stuff with the chemicals and the colorings and the sugar into your mouth, right? The stuff that's got the nutrition label but no nutrition in it.
Mm,
And you're shoveling that down your mouth and you're thinking, at some point I'm going to get healthy, I've just got to keep listening to the doctors and all this kind of thing, right? But
yeah.
then you're now nearly 2 years in, and it's like, well, it's so obvious. Why wasn't this clear to me,
Well, and
Just
it's
take the poison out.
yeah, it's funny, Dave, because it took me back to when I was a kid, which when I would sit there and argue with my mom about the peas and the broccoli and all that stuff. I would also hide the peas under the mashed potatoes, which I wouldn't eat. I didn't like either. I would hide them under there. But I guess I've always known because I've always loved eggs. I've always been, loved doing fried eggs and butter. I hated my mom tried to get me to eat that margarine that's back in the 70s. Remember Promise margarine or whatever it was? And but she always had butter. She always had butter and margarine. She had both. And I would just use the butter. I would never touch that other stuff. I thought it was like poison or something. So I think I always intuitively knew. But yeah, I think when it all made sense to me, and now what's happened, I can't unlearn this. I can't unlearn what I know. So I could never go back the other direction. Have I slipped up? Well, Dave, about a little before Thanksgiving, I went to my mom's, had dinner, and she said, oh, why don't you have a little bit of chocolate? I said, no, I just really want chocolate. And, chocolate's like my kryptonite. She had this delicious dark chocolate with almond bar. One of those big ones, big bar, the big ones. And anyway, I finally just said, you know what? I'll have a little bit. Well, Dave, I ended up having a couple of squares. Then that was calling to me. It was calling to me. And by the end of the night, I kept getting, and we only take 2 squares at a time. I finished the entire bar, was gone. Then I was looking in her pantry to see, did she have another bar? I mean, it's like I'm a hardcore sugar addict. I am. I mean, and there's a lot of people where keto just doesn't work because they can't moderate. And keto's great if you can moderate, but if you can't moderate these things, and whether it's blueberries, something sweet. For some people it's cheese. For some people it's pork rinds or it's heavy cream. For some people it's the fruit. But for me, it's that on keto you're allowed to have like dark chocolate, but a little bit of it. So that set me off, Dave, for a week. I was on what I call now my infamous chocolate bar incident. I call it the infamous chocolate bar incident, the 1 week, chocolate bonanza. And anyway, I just had to, you just stopped. And then I haven't really had that since, because I now know I can't moderate, that. The last instance that I had a fall off plan, because I've been pretty good other than that. Well, like at Thanksgiving time, somebody had brought in some cookies, and I'm a cookie guy, and I had 3 cookies. That's it, 3. I had 3 cookies. The next morning, I woke up, Dave, and I take 5-mile walks every morning, and it's like I feel great, just good exercise. I really recommend that for people if you can. Just move, I didn't start at 5 miles. I worked up to that. I woke up the next morning after those 3 cookies, Dave. My left foot was like inflamed. I don't know why, but just the left foot right near the shin, the front of the shin to like the top of my foot. Almost like that tendon that kind of connects the two. I could barely walk. I was crippled for like a week for those 3 cookies. I'm not kidding. I could not walk for a week, and I would go to work and I was hobbling around again. It took about a week just from those 3 cookies. I don't know. I guess your body gets very sensitive once you're eating clean. I think maybe you can feel all these things that if you do will go off plan. So other than that, though, I've been doing really great, and I've really been enjoying it. I love what I eat. I love it.
Those moments are very powerful moments, though, like,
Yeah.
because everyone has something, whether it's you add a vegetable in or whatever it is, right? Everyone's got a moment where they go, because you kind of, I was speaking to someone about this yesterday. You get kind of lazy because carnivore is so good
Yeah.
that you forget. And you go, oh, yeah, okay, well, I'll just give it a go and see what happens. And you think, I feel so good, and you forget what it was like. But because the pain comes rushing back, or the problems come rushing back, it's like it's a good guardrail, because you kind of you wake up the next day, or you start feeling the pain, and you go, okay, not doing that again.
Yeah. I mean, I think you get so much more in tune with your body and your mind, um, where you're super super zen focused on how your body reacts to different types of foods. So, for some people, pork or chicken really sets them off. I can have any of, I'm not very sensitive in that way. Any type of meat, seafood, eggs, like I can eat egg whites, some people can only eat the yolk. Butter. Some people can't tolerate butter. I love butter. I do the grass-fed Irish, but kind of like Kerrygold, but I get it at Aldi. It's the same kind of thing. I just put that on everything. I'm gonna put it on my meat and fry my eggs in it and stuff. I do add a lot of butter to my meat. I like to keep my fat somewhere between 70 and 80%. But what I've learned from like Dr. Georgie E, Change Your Body, Change Your Mind, her book, and Chris Palmer, Brain Energy, is that high fat carnivore, if you have any mental issues, mental things like depression, anxiety, mood disorders, ADHD. For me, that the higher fat, I think, nourishes my brain, and I do very, very well with it. Also, I'm a little prone to constipation on this diet. So it's just curious. I mean, I didn't go the loose stool way. For me, if I didn't add all the like eat butter with my meat, I was getting some constipation. And years ago, I did try Atkins briefly back in the, I guess it was the 90s, and I got terrible constipation from it. And I wasn't doing nearly enough fat. I know now. I didn't do it for more than a couple months or a month or two. But I remember feeling great and lost a lot of weight on it.
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah. So just to summarize, I mean, I've got like a very long list here of things. It's like depression gone, anxiety gone, blood pressure is normal, fatty liver's gone, um, sleep apnea is gone.
yeah, no, I don't snore anymore at all.
Right. The diabetes is gone. Like so many things. Acid reflux.
Arthritis.
Yeah, arthritis. Um, to get to this point, I mean, this is only 2 years in, and most of these things people believe is incurable. Once you get them, you've got them, and it's just medication for life, right? You're off all your meds. How have you been eating day to day to get to this point?
So I pretty much my morning. If I okay, so I do drink coffee, 1 cup of coffee in the morning, and Dave, I put in about 2 to 3 tablespoons of the grass-fed butter and 1 or 2 tablespoons of heavy whipping cream, and I whip that up with a cordless immersion blender. It's almost like a hot chocolate. It's like whipped up into a. It's really delicious. But that gives me that immediate the fat that I think is. It's almost like I call it my brain medicine. It starts out my day with a lot of high fat. Um, Now, some days I will have eggs and bacon or eggs and sausage. Also, somewhere either if I'm on my day off, I usually will have eggs like 4, 5, usually about 4 to 5 eggs with I put a little heavy whipping cream and scramble it up with some salt and the bacon. Four thick cut pieces of bacon, or 2 big sausage links if I have those. But I prefer the bacon. Sausage is hard to find clean sausage. They put a lot of stuff in there. You got to be very careful. And then, so for the days I do have the eggs, um, that's usually 2 or 3 days a week. But the other days, just the coffee. And then I don't really eat um, my first real meal normally until I would say 2 o'clock ish. Two, I would say around two. And I'll have maybe a couple hard-boiled eggs and some meat of some sort. Maybe it could be some deli meat that I bring in. It could be leftover meat that I have. Could be some ground beef, some burger patties that I'll do like pre-cooked and bring them into work and just heat them up. But some type of meat in the eggs. And then dinner is usually I'm a big T-bone steak guy, and I love my T-bones and a New York strip. Um, I'm not as big on the ribeye for some reason. I don't know why. I mean, I like it, but for some reason, I like that. T-bone is half New York strip and half fillet essentially, and that's just my favorite. I just love that, and I add cold butter. Like I'll take the butter and slice it into like some slices and put it on the plate, and I'll break off a piece and eat a piece of cold butter with almost every bite, Dave. And when I put the Malden smoked sea salt on the steak, so good. So good. That's all I put
Yeah.
on there, salt and butter.
Nice. Um, so I think this is one of the things that is very hard for a non-carnivore, even someone doing keto, to get their head around,
Mhm.
is that most days you don't start eating until 2 p.m.
Right. Yeah.
and you're
I
going
would
to
say,
work.
I
So
would
most people would be like, how can you possibly do that? How I wouldn't be able to function. Like, and the thing is, it's a complete perspective shift, right?
yeah,
When you're
well,
doing carnivore.
I think what it all comes down to is changing your body's metabolism from being a sugar burner to becoming a fat burner. When you're when you're eating sugar, your body can only hold, your muscles and your liver can only hold 1 day's worth of glycogen, sugar in your body, in your muscles and your liver for 1 day's worth, and then your body thinks it's starving. You start panicking, so you have to eat basically every couple hours. People are eating. Remember in the old days, Dave? Right? We would be eating, I don't know, 6, 8, 10 times. If you count the snacks, I mean, it was just constant. It was grazing because you just you would your insulin and blood sugar would be going up and down, and when you crash, you'd be going into panic mode. I'm going to die, and so what happens when you change over to becoming a fat burner? And that's why it's very important in the beginning to try and stay on plan in the first 30 days is to eat it. I would say throw away the scale for the first at least 30 days. Focus on just changing your metabolism from burning sugar to burning fat. Become a fat burner, because what then happens is you get less and less hungry, and never let yourself get hungry in the first 30 days. You've got to eat. You can, because when you don't eat, that's when you're going to reach for the carbs, like when you're hungry. So, and not everybody can have all those bad foods out of their house because they live with somebody who doesn't eat like we do. And so the temptation is going to be in the house. So you've got to have pre-cooked meat, bacon, have hard-boiled eggs. You got to have stuff, beef jerky, whatever you got to have to in the house, even if it's some cheese. It doesn't matter, but have your carnivore pre-cooked or ready foods ready to go, because and focus on changing from sugar burning to fat burning. And over time, you're going to find that you can go longer and longer and longer between meals. And it just happens. You start to get less hungry between meals, and that's where your body's changing over its metabolism to using ketones instead of using glucose. And it's a natural process. But what people do, I just see this all the time. Newer carnivores said, "Oh, I'm going to have a cheat day, and I'm going to have a cheat weekend. I'm going to do it during the week. This is the crazy. Oh, and on the weekend, I'm going to just do regular." Well, you're never going to change your metabolism. The other thing you're doing is you're having these sweet tastes. So when you're having those sweet tastes, you can't break away from it.
Yeah, and so having those kind of, like on the weekends I'm going to cheat or whatever, like you're just always bouncing around and your body doesn't know what's going on and you're swapping between energy sources and it's just like, yeah,
Yeah.
a nightmare. Yeah, further forward then.
Yeah. I mean, there's something called the Randall cycle, right? Where, your body has to decide. It can only use one or the other. Am I going to use sugar or am I going to use the ketones, the fat? And so you can't do both. So if the glucose is more than the other, it's going to use the glucose. So you're never getting it. You're never changing. You're never changing over. And to that extent, you're not getting the benefits. So I'm not perfect. And very few carnivores have been perfect. There's a few, and I haven't been perfect. There's been times that I've fallen off a plan or whatever. But the key is getting right back on at the next meal. If you can do that, if you can and for anybody during the holidays, if you did fall off, that's okay. Just forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up. No one's perfect. Just eat the meat and the eggs at the next meal. Just get back on board and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I've always said that's one of the most important things. Just based on my 20 odd years of experience on and off keto,
Yeah.
is like when you do fall off, it's important that you just straight away you just get back on. You don't spend the whole time going, "Woe is me, I'm a terrible person," and punching yourself in the face, because that makes it more likely you're going to have more of a digression. It's like just get back on.
We're so hard on ourselves, Dave. And there's some people out there that are harder on themselves than others. And so when they do it, they're so embarrassed and ashamed. You know what I mean? That I don't have the willpower. I don't have the willpower that Dave or Peter has. So I just can't do it like they can do it. No, guess what? My willpower is no better or worse than theirs. Okay. It's just, I guess I'm a little better at forgiving myself and just saying, okay, that's okay. I can get back right back on. And it's the experience. And that's why it's really good to have support groups. And there's a lot of them out there. There's a guy, old guy carnivore, Mitch, old guy carnivore, he has like a morning, almost like an AA style morning coffee with Mitch live stream, and all the people, and we chat amongst ourselves, and everyone's giving each other advice, and there's a lot of support. And this, you see this. Oh, I'm embarrassed. I blew it. I might as well wait till January or whatever it was. This was months ago. No, just get back on. That's okay. But support is very critical, and not, it's hard to do this on yourself, especially when you're the only person like me for miles, doing this. I mean, I went to a meetup in Melbourne, Florida, and I happened to meet Dr. Kiltz. I met Kerry. I met Adam. Met a bunch of carnivores. That was the first time, and this was when was this? A year and a half, almost, yeah, a year and a half into carnivore. It was only about 6 months ago. It's the first time I ever met a carnivore, a year and a half into it. So you can't be hard on yourself. We're like on an island, most of us, right? Who are eating this way. And everyone's telling you what you're doing. You're crazy. You're nuts. You're going to die. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to clog your arteries. And all you have to do is look on TV, look at the doctors, look at any article. I mean, everyone knows red meat's bad for you and saturated fat is bad for you. And you have to eat the rainbow, and you have to have your fruits and vegetables and healthy grains. And, so when you're being told this and bombarded from all sides all the time, you're only, like, my only haven is YouTube. That's it. Whatever these, me binge watching your show every morning while I'm walking. I got Dave in my ear and whoever he's interviewing, and I'm learning about someone curing MS or Parkinson's or eczema or psoriasis or whatever, diabetes. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that you could, cure MS or cancer. This is, but yet everyone around us is saying, oh, this is bad for you. Well, I've seen the way other people eat, and I see people. I've got a lot of friends and family members, Dave, but a guy I worked with for 10 years, he just passed away from cancer at 57 years old. And he ate sugar like it was going out of style. He had just constantly drank the fruit juices and all the stuff all the time. And I really believe that sugar was not good for the body and could have contributed to that. And I had a friend who was skinny guy, but he was one of those tofies, thin on, thin on the outside, fat on the inside, whatever, and diabetic. And he died, and he was 58. And always was a healthy guy, but a runner, he ate well and all this, but he had diabetes, and he ended up contracting cancer and died from complications of the cancer and the diabetes. I had a friend who was a runner, and he would carb load. Well, he came home from a run and dropped dead, and he was in his 40s. I don't know if you know Jim Fix, that runner, Jim Fix. He also died of, it was a runner guy. He died, massive heart attack, was a runner, supposedly ate all the healthy stuff. These guys were all carb loading like crazy. And you know what happens
Right.
having all those carbs? It just glycates your arteries and causes a lot of damage to the heart. So, yeah, same thing happened to a cousin of mine, my cousin Alan. He was out for a run and came home and had a massive coronary and died. And he was only my age, about now. He was probably my age, early 60s.
Wow.
And he was super healthy. But again, he ate the rainbow. And I don't know if he was vegan, but he was like vegetarian. Yeah. And terrible.
Yeah. It's pretty bad. But this is one of the most important things for people to think about, especially when they're feeling lonely, because like you say, most people are on an island
It
the
is
whole time they're
true.
doing this.
I
The
mean,
most important thing to remember is there's only one person that you should be trusting in this whole process, and that's your body. because your
Yeah.
body's not going to lie to you. Your body doesn't have any kind of reason to lie to you. There's no bribery going on. There's no side business. There's no nothing, right? Your body is just going to react
Yeah.
whatever way naturally it would to the foods you're putting into it.
Yeah. And also, I think, Dave, and you know this too from yourself, the longer you do this, the more confidence you gain in what you're doing. I mean, because in the beginning, yeah, I did question when I changed from like keto, because there were a lot of people doing keto and there's keto everywhere. It's in the supermarkets, but you don't know, like, there's like nobody that's talking about, well, how about we just do meat, and eggs, there's very few people that are in that space. So over time, I think particularly if you educate yourself, watch the videos, watch some of the doctors out there. Dr. Philip Ovadia, who's a heart cardiovascular surgeon, who's also a carnivore. Watch Dave Feldman or Dr. Nick Norwitz, or I mean, I can go on and on. I mean, you know all these guys who will tell you that high LDL cholesterol, actually people live longer, with higher cholesterol. The people with the lower cholesterol, the ones that aren't as healthy. And so I've been trying as hard as I can to raise my cholesterol now. I'm like, how can I get my cholesterol even higher? People think I'm crazy. I think I'm going to try and give myself a heart attack. Remember Rick Charger Mopar? I think he was your first interview. And he's always joking around that I've been trying to give myself a heart attack for 41 years. And I'm the original carnivore quack. He eats ducks and iguanas and stuff. I'm like, is this guy nuts? But he's the healthiest guy. You look at this guy. He's like skinny and healthy. And he's been doing carnivore 41 years. So fine, I'm going to try and give myself a heart attack too. If I can be, all it does is make me thinner and healthier. That's all that happens when I eat the meat. I feel great. Meanwhile, people around me are sick and they're eating the wrong things and they're getting sick. They're heavy. They're getting diabetes and heart attacks and, high blood pressure. I'm
Yeah.
that doesn't take any medicine. The only medicine I take now is a levothyroxine for my hypothyroid. I still take that, but I don't even count that because I was perfectly healthy in my 20s when I just have a low thyroid. It's just hereditary. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so Peter, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media or any way
Well,
of getting in contact?
I'm kind of everywhere. I'm in the comments and live streams, kind of everywhere. On the 18th, I'm going to be with Kerry. We're doing a live stream. So you can go to Homestead Hal. You'll see me there. I'm on Carnivore Mastermind, which is Nia's Way. Nia's Way. I'm trying to help people, doing like what we're doing now, Zoom meetings. And there's a guy, John Laspina, carnivore teacher. And we also do a teaching kind of thing like this, and we try and do that. My channel is Papa Carnivore 15. I don't have any videos there, Dave, but I do have a channel.
No worries. Well, I'll link to your channel below. And Peter, it was really nice to chat with you, and I appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. It was great to meet you.